Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the coffee shop here that we have come here many times to have meetings like this. I want to say a special thank you to the owner of the coffee shop for having us here. And if you haven't gotten some coffee yet, please do. We are trying to promote small businesses. I am on the Small Business Committee. And part of our function this year is the oversight chair of the Small Business Committee. We're trying to get the SBA out of Washington and into communities like this to help promote small businesses with capital and counseling. My name is Mark Alford, and I am the congressional representative for the 4th Congressional District of the great state of Missouri. I'm all glad you're here today. We do Mondays with Mark many, many times. In fact, the 2 years that we have been in office, we have had dozens of these meetings at various coffee shops. Usually we only have maybe 5 or 10 people show up. You can't hear back there? Okay. Is that the loudest? Okay. Typically we have 5 or 10 people here at a time for Mondays with Mark. But I know that things are changing in America. I know you want to be heard. Some of you are not from our district, which is fine. Hopefully I can answer your questions today. I do. This is as loud as it will go. The speaker is right here. So, we're good. I will say that in the past, what we've done is I've had the opportunity to sit down individually with folks and have face-to-face conversations. Today, because of the crowd size, we will not be able to do that. If you have a particular concern, that doesn't have to do with layoffs or what's going on in the government right now, maybe you need some federal help. Our staff is here to help you out. Becky Johnson is our district director. Jake is here. He's one of our field directors back there. Tiana works as a field rep as well, and Patty Carter-Livergood is here as well. We have 3 offices in Missouri. Our main office is here in Ravenburg. If you haven't been there, I encourage you to come down, have a cup of coffee. And as I like to tell everyone, we represent 772,047 individuals. It doesn't matter if you're Republican. Thank you. There we go. It helps to turn it on. It doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or politically agnostic. We give you the same level of service when you come into our office or when you call.
There's some doubts about
now, I know. I'm going to go over one ground rule right now, because this is a small, confined space, and there are others who would like to come in and have a civil discussion.
Next time.
And so, if you are not going to abide by the rules and have a civil discussion, if you're going to disrupt things, we're going to ask the police officers to escort you out, and the owner has agreed to that. I did not come here to have a food fight, okay? I came here, as a lot of representatives are not doing, even some of you in districts not in the 4th, your representatives are not doing
this. You got to listen to us, though? That's where
and so today, sir, if you would like to leave, you're welcome to do that and let someone else who can act civilly come in. So we're going to have a civil discussion today, and I'm going to answer as many questions as I can, and I have to leave at 10 o'clock to catch a flight back to D.C. All right? So let's go with the questions. We have divided up our questions. Your question must be written down. We're not going to have anyone yelling out questions in this format. And if you want to yell out a question, you can do it from outside this establishment. We're going to go with the in-district people first, because that's who I represent. And we're just doing these randomly, okay? Diane from Belton, we asked Ukraine to give up its nuclear weapons, promising our protection. Will we give the nuclear weapons back to Ukraine? Where is Diane? Diane, raise your hand.
Over here.
Diane, thank you. That's a very good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm not at that level. I used to be on the Armed Services Committee. I'm no longer on the Armed Services Committee. But there's, I think, a bigger question in general here about Ukraine that I want to talk about. And so American taxpayers have invested $300-some billion in Ukraine. Today, I believe today or tomorrow is the 3rd anniversary of Putin's invasion into Ukraine. I firmly believe it was Putin who started the war. But I also believe that Joe Biden, with the weakness that he showed in Afghanistan, the way he pulled out of Afghanistan, and the way he signaled to Putin that it was okay to have a minor incursion, that he helped promote this to some fashion. And so now we are stuck in this endless war, which is not going anywhere. And Zelensky has admitted that he cannot come up with $100 billion of taxpayer money. So the Russians have got the Donbass region. In 2014, they took Crimea, and President Obama did not do anything about it. And so Putin felt even more emboldened. And so now we're stuck in what could become another Vietnam. So what President Trump is planning to do is to try to reach a settlement in this and keep Putin at bay where he is, and have Europe pay up their fair share. Did you know that only 35% of the European countries who are in NATO are paying their dues to NATO? Germany and France are not paying their fair share. And so we have got to make sure that they pay their fair share. And that's what we're going to do. Will we give nuclear weapons back to Ukraine? I don't have any intelligence on that. I don't know if that's going to be an issue.
So why are we treating Vladimir Zelensky as a full...
Sir, we are going in order. I love you being here. I have talked with you personally out in the parking lot outside our office.
You sure did. How do you do it?
And I appreciate you.
And
no, you cannot. You can leave if you're going to disrupt this, because I know that the Democrats have a plan to try to disrupt things in town hall meetings. So that's okay. But you are welcome to leave if you would not like to be here. All right. From Audrey, from Belton, Missouri, MAGA is telling people not to trust our doctors and our teachers and our lawyers and our scientists. Who do you trust to provide facts, and how does that influence your decision making when voting on legislative or voting on bills? Where's Audrey? That's a very good question. Thank you. I do trust the science. However, I think some science is not settled. I think RFK is going to get to the bottom of what is going on in America, and I look forward to him making America healthy once again. From Kim in Green Valley. Kim in Green Valley. Where's Kim? Thank you, Kim. Thanks for being here today. Do you support $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, which cancels out the cuts to U.S. government services and people? Okay, let me, this is part of a deeper, kind of explain how the budget works, and then I'll get into this. There are two trains going down this track that we're on right now. All right, we have $36.5 trillion in debt. And we are gaining over $1 trillion in interest each year. That's more than we're spending on defense. We take in $5 trillion and we spend $7.5 trillion a year. You cannot live in your house if you're taking in $5,000 a month and spending $7,500, you wouldn't be able to pay your mortgage. You couldn't run a business like that. And so that is what we have got to turn around in America, and we have got to cut our spending. Our spending has gone up tremendously since COVID. We've got to get back to pre-COVID level spending. Part of the problem is the reason inflation is so high right now. One of the reasons is the bond market is so skittish because of our debt. If we don't get our debt under control, this is the greatest existential threat that our nation faces right now. And we have got to make sure that we make the cuts. The cuts that we're making, 75% of our budget is made up of Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. 24% is so-called discretionary spending, and a large part of that is defense spending. So at a time we need to really increase our defense spending to be a deterrent against communist China, then we've got to look for savings. One of the places we're going to look is Medicaid. Medicaid. Look, any government program, are you in favor of cutting waste, abuse, and fraud out of any government program? It depends. I would think you want to be getting rid of all government waste, abuse, and fraud. You're not? But I'm here to tell you that that's what we're going to do. And if you're an able-bodied adult with no dependents, you should not be on Medicaid. And so we are going to make sure that we are getting rid of the waste, abuse, and fraud in the Medicaid system. We're going to come up with $880 billion worth of savings over 10 years. That's $880 million. The $4.5 trillion that Kim was talking about. Where's Kim? The $4.5 trillion, part of this involves the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. How many of you have a small business here? Anybody? Good. Do you have an S Corp? Are you in an S Corp? All right, you're an S Corp. So an S Corp is a qualified business deduction, and it came through with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which allowed small businesses like this one to have a 20% off the top deduction so that they could earn more revenue, so they could hire more employees and build their businesses. If we do not, it's not for millionaires and billionaires. That's the problem. The Democrats will say it's for millionaires and billionaires. I don't think the gentleman standing here making your coffee today is a millionaire. I could be wrong, but I don't think he is. But he's taking advantage of this program. If we don't renew the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it will be the largest tax increase in U.S. history. So in order to get this economy churning again, to make sure that everyone has a good paying job, and not necessarily in the federal government, then we've got to make sure that we have a strong economy. We're going to do that by renewing the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. We're going to do that by getting rid of a lot of the over-regulation. We're going to do that by making sure that we are not just energy independent, but we are energy dominant. And through those things, we're going to make sure that we have the revenues necessary. We can start climbing out of this deficit, and we can save America.
When are we going to get back to the business of being dominant, promoting freedoms across the world stage, Mark? When is that going to happen?
Next question, Mark.
Tell me.
Would you please give that guy an index card and a pen? You know how to write? You can write down a question. All right, thank you. Okay, who's the next civilized person that we can ask a question from? The SAVE Act. The SAVE Act. What is this? Stephanie from Clinton.
Are you familiar with the SAVE Act?
Tell me more about it.
82, 81
Okay.
Congress. And so it's about preventing allegedly immigrants from voting. It's not really a problem if you want to play with that, you can't.
Right.
But it has a section in it that says your last name must match your birth certificate.
Okay.
And there's no carve out for women who have been married and have changed their name. Will you pay for all women in America
this is a very good, it wasn't really a question, it was some bullet points, but I appreciate that. And we're gonna look into that because I didn't know that was an issue. So I will look into that. Phone number. We'll get back to you. Okay, next question from Karen Johnson from Cass County. We've seen corporate interests take control of healthcare, food production, and education. More farmers will be forced into bankruptcy. Are you supportive of corporate rule of our country? Why or why not? Karen, where's Karen? Karen, thank you so much. I was on the Agriculture Committee last year. We are losing 1,000 farms in America each month. In the short time that I've been in office, we've gone from 95,000 farms in Missouri down to 87,000 farms. And so I am committed to trying to get new farmers in through tax programs, tax incentives. There's one in...
That's not what it does. I have it right here.
Ma'am, you can leave if you would like to disrupt. You're welcome to. So we are working to try to keep the family farms alive in America. I'm rereading your question. Am I supportive of corporate rule of our country? I am not in support of conglomeration of these farms to where we are boiling them down into these massive farms, and the family farm is gone.
Doing away with, you know that doing away with USAID is
So
destroying families. But so many of the answers you've given, Priest does not address at all the fact that we don't tax the wealthy or the corporations. Voting to support all the things that reinforce it, or you stop supporting it and start, caring about the common folk.
Look, I believe corporations have a place in our society, and I believe that individuals have a place in our society. And I am for the best tax policy that's going to build the biggest wealth for America and make everyone successful. And I believe that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and the Qualified Business Deduction is a big part of that. Now, you may disagree, and that's okay.
Facts disagree.
Well, that's fine. You can present. Anyway, we are going to move on to our next question. All right. Next question from a constituent. Violet. Violet from Belton. Where are you, Violet? You want to pass? Okay. Maybe next time we can have a one-on-one with you if you want to talk. That's fine. Yeah. Oh, welcome. How many of you from Belton? Is that high school? Good. Let's welcome the high school students. This is a good lesson in civics. When I started running for this office, many of the places I would go to were Republican places where everyone was friendly. And I don't mind being challenged. I don't mind having a civil discussion and trying to answer questions. But that's part of how our democracy works. The elected officials ask questions, sometimes get yelled at. It's okay. I'm a big boy and I can take it. All right. Damien June? Hey, Damien, how are you?
I'm doing good.
You said something Social Security. We're not going to do verbal questions, okay? You got a question on Social Security and Medicare, U.S. ground war influence. Social Security makes up about, as I said, Social Security and Medicaid makes up about 75% of our... You can take it back and you can write a question on it. Just write a question down there. We're going to do this the way that we have intended for our program. Barb from Cass County. She She's going to ask her question in person. We'll do that later. Steve Prime from Warsaw, Benton County. Who came from Warsaw? Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Shipping costs from China. Is China a favorite nation status? Shipping costs to Canada. Here's what China is doing right now. China is dumping its steel on the market. They're going through Canada and Mexico to get their products here and trying to hide that so they don't have to pay the tariff. And that is one reason that President Trump is going in and imposing these greater tariffs on China. And while we're talking about China, I know some of you don't like hearing this, but China is not our friend necessarily. I know that we buy a lot of products from them, but they are spying on us and trying to gain information. I've been in these intelligence meetings. If you don't believe it, I'm sorry that you don't believe it. So we have got to make sure that we have the protections from China. And that's going to include fair trade, and that's what I think President Trump is going to try to do with these tariffs. Part of the tariffs is he's using, I think, as a negotiating tool for Mexico, and we've seen it work already. Mexico has done a better job at keeping people from coming over illegally into our great country because of the threat of tariff. I think one of the things you're going to see, though, is... Yes, you had to follow it. Yes.
I sell my product for $8.
Yeah.
Reference to Ukraine.
Yeah. Yes.
Be finished before Trump even takes office.
Well, the post office is a whole other issue that we can be here all day talking about. You know, the joy, the Postmaster General just quit.
It's being American, not on hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
As conflicts continue to currency. Continues to currently.
Yeah, I don't know how the tariff will work on shipping. I do know this, is that there's something called the de minimis statute for China. They can ship in. Have you ever ordered anything on Temu or Shine? You young people, maybe in particular, off your phone, cheap clothing coming from China, they can ship in without a tariff if it's under, I think, a $600 value. And so one of the things that they're looking at is getting away with that because it's hurting American businesses. One thing's very clear. We have got to bring manufacturing back to America to make our country strong again. Small communities like this are vital to small businesses and manufacturing. And so the tax policies that we're going to develop, the savings we're going to find, and the Small Business Administration, Kelly Loeffler is going to be great at that, and we are going to make sure that manufacturing returns to America. Okay. As said in the December 9th interview, you state that Ukraine conflict ground force will not be needed. You follow that by saying in reference to Ukraine that it will likely be finished before Trump takes office. Yeah, as conflict continues to current day, do you still hold the same belief? I was wrong. I thought that the conflict with Ukraine would be over before Trump took the oath of office on January 20th. I was wrong about that. I think he's making significant progress now. Michael Waltz, who I used to be on the Armed Services Committee with, is now the National Security Advisor. He's involved in the negotiations right now. The progress that they're making right now is having individual discussions with the parties involved. And then they will bring them together to work out a deal.
Anyone can say
All right. Where's Mike Champ from Cass County?
Right here.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing all right.
Good to see you. Do you have a cup of coffee from here? Oh, good. All right. When will Congressman Alford stand up to Elon Musk? Who is... Because I'm elected, I'm American, and doing undesired things that no one voted for. go over, and this comes out of the Constitution, I'm sure. So Article 1, authority is vested in Congress, and we have power over the Appropriations Committee. Article 2 covers the executive branch, and the executive branch is run by Donald J. Trump. 77 million Americans elected him to be the chief executive officer. And so he is over the Treasury. He's over the Small Business Administration. He's over every federal agency in America. And so he can hire whom he wants. The Senate confirms the people who are over the agencies, and you have seen that with our majority now in the Senate, that these confirmations have happened, and the agencies, pretty much all, I think there's a few still that don't have heads, but they're coming soon. At the same time, under a program that actually President Obama started when he was in office, that has been renamed under President Trump for the Department of Government Efficiency. And Elon Musk is hired by the executive branch to be a overseer of this program. Now, he's not actually out firing people. He's not actually out. He's not giving people their pink slip. These are other people in the Doge organization who are doing this. And so Elon Musk has a place, and he is weeding out the waste, abuse, and fraud in the system. All right, what's the next question? Samuel from Belton. Where's Samuel? How you doing, Samuel? What do you think of this? This is pretty crazy, isn't it? But that's America. I love it. All right, Samuel. International Criminal Court, Gulf of America, Department of Education. All right, I think I kind of know what you're asking about this. I don't think we're beholden to the International Criminal Court. The Gulf of America, I think that's kind of a thing that, you know, Trump kind of likes to, look, he wants to make America great again. And a vast portion of what used to be the Gulf of Mexico borders America. And so I don't really have a feeling about that one way or another, Gulf of America. The Department of Education, can we get that door shut, please? Thank you. Thank you. The Department of Education, is your question about what is the future Department of Education? I cannot hear this young man's question because you are back there being disruptive. And I'm sorry you want to act like this, but I would like to have a discussion. Right. Number one, the federal government should never have been in the student loan process. That's only in the last 20 years that they've gotten involved in it. And I think you've seen some problems because of that. All right. The second thing is, the Department of Education was created in the 70s. We didn't all have that. The way this country was set up is that the states would be over education. And so I think long term, I think what you're going to see happen is a push to move education, the money, back to the states so that the states can do a better job in the school districts. Now, there are going to be some people who disagree with that, and that's fine. If you want to disagree with that, then you can vote in the next president who might change it back. But this is the direction I think President Trump is headed. But thank you, Samuel. Appreciate your question. All right, Braden. Where's Braden? How you doing, Braden? You got another question? All right. Thank you. Elon Musk is generally seen as an influence in the federal government. Evidence shows he has pocketed money into his own corporations while cutting federal jobs. Do you believe he is a fit leader to run an entire department? Elon Musk has contracts with the federal government.
There you go.
But he is also, I think, doing an effective job in weeding out the waste, abuse, and fraud in the government. I know there are a lot of people who don't want to see waste, abuse, and fraud weeded out. Some of them here today have said that. But he is appointed by the president, who's a chief executive, who can appoint whoever he can appoint you to weed out the waste, abuse, and fraud. Elon Musk and the president have agreed that if there is any potential conflict of interest, that he will recuse himself. And it's clear here today that some people don't believe that would happen. And that's okay. And we're free in the next election to elect someone that you believe can do a better job. All right. All right, Oren Sisson. Hi, Oren, how are you? All right, good job. I like that shirt, by the way. Does anybody need a refill of coffee? Anybody? No espresso for this crowd. All right, what's being done about affordable housing? Because as a son to a single mother, it was hard to find housing around Belton. There are a lot of places being built that cannot necessarily afford. Even in the schools, there are less and less kids each year, and I feel that has to change. I am so glad that you asked this question, because before I got into Congress, I was on television. I was also a realtor, and I sold a lot of houses. But we have seen the housing market change drastically. We were just talking about this last night with our small group. When I grew up, the average cost of a house was $8,000 when I grew up. And now the average price for a home in Missouri is $425,000. That's a starter home. And so how do we make sure that we have enough housing stock, housing supply? We were supposed to have a housing summit last Wednesday at Raymore City Hall, but because of the weather, it got canceled. We had people coming in from HUD, Housing Urban Development, home builders, mortgage people. We had a panelist of about 6, and we were going to have a large crowd there, and I'm sorry that got canceled. But this is a bipartisan commission that I am on, that I started the Real Estate Caucus, and it's bipartisan, Democrat and Republican. We have 62 members now, and we're trying to find solutions to save the American dream. I firmly believe that home ownership, building equity in that home, when you get to be my age, you're counting on that money being there in your home equity. So it's very important that we get people into homes. You've got to have the supply to do that. You've got to have the inflation rate down.
What are you doing?
So one of the things that's causing a disruption, especially in Kansas City proper. Anybody here from Kansas City proper? You're from Kansas City? Welcome to the 4th Congressional District from Emmanuel, Cleveland. By the way, is Emmanuel having a breakfast? No, Kansas City limits. Anybody from here? You are. Is Congressman Cleaver having a coffee? Because he and I are going to be on the same flight, I think, at 12:35. Anyway, one of the things that's happened in Kansas City is that the regulations, have you heard of the Inflation Reduction Act? Well, in that Inflation Reduction Act were a lot of these climate change initiatives that Kansas City has adopted that has driven up the price of a home by 25%. It has, from September of 23 to January of 24, about almost a 6-month period, there was only one building permit pulled to start a house. And so, combined with the property taxes, which are also an issue that you can talk to Frank White about, the supply is down because builders are not building as many homes. The other issue is the inflation rate. Now, let me tell you why the inflation rate is so high. The inflation rate is so high is because Joe Biden pumped over $2 trillion under the Green New Scam into the economy, and that flooded spending in America, and that drove up costs and drove up inflation rate. So
what we're trying to do, and this administration is trying to do, is bring down those costs. All right? It's going to take a while. We've got to become energy dominant again. We've got to open the drilling, open the fracking, open the oil leases, which the Energy Secretary, Doug Burgum, is doing. But they're making headway. It's going to take a little bit of time. But I'm predicting, look, I think you're living in the greatest time in American history. I think you are going to see, let's meet back here 6 months from now, and I think you will see a dramatic turnaround. There's a lot of resistance right now because people are scared, and people are fearful, and people don't like change, and they don't like to cut back. I mean, I don't like to cut back. But these are the cuts that we are necessary to make to right-size our government, to get our deficit under control so that we can be strong again. And when we're strong, we can help other nations be strong. That's a very good question. All right, Autumn from Belton. Where's Autumn? Autumn, how are you doing? Good. Gun regulations, school safety, preventions we are taking to keep students safe on campus moving forward. I just visited a business in, was it Peculiar? A couple of months ago. They build these safe rooms that can be installed in classrooms and buildings. I think that's one of the keys, providing safe rooms. A lot of times right now, FEMA provides money if you want to build a huge structure in the interior of the school, or maybe out in a courtyard or something like that. They will provide that money. But their answer was, during a school shooting, you need to kind of shelter in place, and these safe rooms that can be built actually into a wall could be a solution to that. I can't hear a follow-up, man. That's insane they're doing that. I think it's a very viable business. Yeah. I can't, man. This is, you guys, I appreciate your passion and enthusiasm and love for America, but I would like to hear her follow-up question, okay? What's your follow-up?
But there were still 17 dead and 17 injured. What are we going to do because of that?
Well, I think we need to provide more mental health. That's very great. What are we doing? We've got, I am willing to invest more money in mental health care. We have got, and everywhere I go, I've been to several hospitals on this work period. We have got to invest more money in health care. I've said it's on my website, I've said it on the campaign trail, I don't think we need more gun control in America, we need more self-control. And so if we can help people with mental health, that is going to go a long way in this. All right, next up, Diane from Belton. Where's Diane? Diane Belton. Is that you? All right, you better be on your best behavior now. What do you? I printed out just 3 stories about true Medicare and Medicaid fraud totaling $2.38 billion in just 3 years. How will we keep up these investigations with cuts to something in FBI?
And detectives within Medicare and Medicaid.
I think the money is going to be provided to do these investigations. That will come through the appropriations process. I'm a new member of the appropriations committee, and I'm on the subcommittee that oversees some of these, and so we'll be looking at the funding needed to try to recoup this money from fraud in Medicare and Medicaid. Now, look, if people are, this is the way I feel, the same about food stamps, the SNAP program, Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. I was on the Ag Committee last year, and we dealt with this in the Farm Bill. There's $34 million a day in waste, abuse, and fraud in that program. $13.6 billion. Now, you may not want to believe that, but that is the truth. And so if we can recapture that money, we can give it to people who truly need it. So that's how we're going to be working to try to, we want to make sure that America is healthy, that they are eating the proper foods. This is a nutrition program, and junk food should not be allowed to be bought with food stamps. And if you disagree with that, then that's fine. All right. Jim, you're up next. How are you? When is he going to start upholding his oath of office? Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. I believe that every day that I walk...
So I'm waiting for your answer, Mark.
Every day that I walk up those Capitol steps, I think about this district and I think about my oath of office. And when I get on that House floor and I cast a vote for our district, I think about that oath of office. And so I do believe I'm living up to the oath of office. If you believe that I'm not, then that's up to you. And I appreciate your opinion. All right. Abby from Belton. Abby.
Can I stand over here?
Sir, I've got a plane to catch and I'm leaving at 10 o'clock. So 45 minutes. So, Abby. Hi, Abby. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Jim, could you please find a seat?
Please sit down.
Thank you.
Thank
you, sir.
Appreciate it.
That's a non-answer, folks.
That's right.
For the people that voted for this stuff, you got...
I do want you to know that Jim is a great guy. I had a 20-minute conversation with him this summer out in the parking lot outside our office.
It was November,
And, I'm sorry, November. Okay. Time flies, doesn't it? And we had a great conversation. I don't mind talking to Jim, or anyone for that matter, but I'm not going to be yelled at.
I love you, Mark,
And we're
but
going to
it's
have a
hard to
discussion.
do.
I love you too, brother. All right, you're a great American. All right, Abby Belton, how do you feel about mass deportation and immigration camps? Very good question. So let me give you a little background on this. I was at the border last year. I've been to the border several times. It was much worse than you could ever imagine or see on TV. The previous administration, the Biden administration, let more than 12 million illegal aliens into our great nation during that time. It put a strain on financial resources for you, our citizens. They put some of these illegal aliens up at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City. I saw them. I used to stay at the Roosevelt Hotel when I visited my daughter up in New York City. And so our country has been strained for our support for illegal aliens. And yes, I do say illegal aliens because that's the proper government terms. There's illegal alien, criminal alien, and resident alien.
They are people.
And what this president pledged to do in his campaign, and was elected by 77 million Americans to do so, is to have a mass deportation program where, starting with criminal aliens, people who have been incarcerated, people who have committed crimes, are rounded up and they are repatriated back to their home countries. We have seen that with Venezuela, we have seen that with Guatemala, and we've seen that with Mexico and other countries. We do not have the financial resources, being $36.5 trillion in debt, to support 12 million illegal aliens in our great nation. If you want to come here the right way and stand in line, we welcome you to do that.
No, you don't.
We welcome you to become a part of the fabric of America. But to come and to disrupt our nation and to put a further strain on our resources when we are going broke, it just doesn't cut it. And when you come into our country and you rape and murder our young women, like Laken Riley was murdered, that's why we passed the Laken Riley Act to make sure that illegal aliens who commit crimes are detained by ICE and sent back before they can rape and murder our fellow citizens. So thank you very much for that question. All right, let's go to Joe Jackson. Where's Joe Jackson? Are you Joe? Hi, Joe. How are you? You don't have to stand up. Former federal special agent. What did you do? She investigated fraud, abuse, and waste. Good. Fireblade abuse, yes. Right. Yeah. Right. Good question. Hold on. I gotta make a note before I forget it. Because this is one of the programs I want to talk about. Joe Jackson, yeah. Sure.
There are most of the fraud and abuse and drain on the federal.
He's convicted.
Right.
Senator, in the United States Senator, in the United States Senate,
Who's that?
Rick Scott.
Rick Scott.
Rick Scott was he wasn't convicted, but his company was convicted of almost $1 billion in fraud.
But he wasn't convicted. Yeah. Was his company held accountable? The officers? Yeah. Well, you can't be a CEO of a company once you're in Congress. Yeah. You have to give up all you cannot have a business relationship when you're in Congress. I can't hear Joe, guys. I grew up in a large family traveling across the country in a station wagon. But it wasn't quite this loud. So, yes.
They're looking at federal employees,
Uh-huh.
foreign federal employees. There is fraud in programs, and
Right.
there's nobody that's going to be able to.
All right, so Joe Jackson has a very legitimate question, and I appreciate that. Thank you for your service, by the way. About the inspectors general that President Trump fired. All right? So the inspectors general are part of the executive branch, and he has every right to hire the inspectors general whom he wants to be in his office. The attorney general. Many of these will go into the courts. This will be adjudicated by the courts, and we'll see what happens. But again, I do appreciate your question, Joe. All right, Kira.
Stop gaslighting.
Thank you. Kira from Belton on Ukraine on preventing escalation while supporting allies. How do we prevent escalation? Where's Kira? Kira, thank you so much. How do we prevent escalation? Well, I think we've got to show peace through strength, just like Ronald Reagan said. I think we missed the boat in a lot of areas because Joe Biden did not send the weaponry needed for Zelensky to effectively push back against Putin. I think that was a big mistake. And so now it's involved in a stalemate, which Putin feels emboldened. And I think what's going to end up happening in this negotiation is that he will keep Crimea as he did after Biden let him do that. And he will end up with the Donbass region, which is largely Russian speaking. I don't think that's not the ideal situation, but I don't think we have the temerity as a nation, and the taxpayers do not have the patience or want to put any more money into this effort to try and push Putin back. Europe must do their part and pay their fair share to be a proper return inside of NATO.
They don't have the same GDP that the U.S.
Let me explain how NATO works. NATO, you pay a percentage of your gross domestic product, and so, right. I heard a lady back there saying something about GDP. So it's based on your GDP. It's not a total dollar amount. And so when Germany and France doesn't see fit to fund NATO as lined out in our treaty, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, they need to step up their game. And did you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I did have a follow-up. I just gave you a note card.
Oh, okay, well,
Oh.
sorry.
Oh, there's a longer one.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
Representative, I would like for her to be able to speak her question. She's my exchange student. She's from Ukraine.
Right.
And I would like for her to be able to speak about her.
We support you.
My family and I work at these grounds with explosions and Western military. Okay. 2 days later, Russian troops were approaching my hometown and occupying my region. We knew that if Russian occupation of my hometown was successful, we would not be coming back. Not only because of all the horrific things that our enemy did, but also because of our values of family, freedom, and Christian values. Many towns in the eastern Ukraine are occupied, and our fathers, sons, brothers are fighting for their values. Coming to the USA for an exchange year, I saw the American and Ukrainian people are sharing Christian, family, and freedom values. I'm emphasizing that because she has it capitalized. What do you think about the President Trump making deals with Russia, whose values contradict with the values of the American people? Look, I appreciate you being here. I hope you've had your... When do you go back? When?
In June.
In June? Hopefully things will be settled by then. Is your hometown in the Donbass region?
No, it's in Kiev region.
Kiev region. And I know they've been hit pretty hard there as well. Look, Trump is going to get a deal negotiated where this war can end once and for all. If there are some Americans who want to be involved in an endless war like we had when I was growing up in the Vietnam War, Americans, we don't have the stomach for that.
Yes, we do.
And
Yes,
we don't. You know, Joe Biden said for as long as it takes, for as much as it takes.
That's right.
And the taxpayers, the majority in the 4th Congressional District say no. No, we have invested $300 billion. There's $100 billion unaccounted for. And there has to be an end to this war. And so President Trump is going to work with the parties involved to get the best deal possible. And Europe must pay its fair share. All right.
Let Putin win, he'll solve it.
Okay, next question. This one doesn't have a name or anything. Are we still in the 4th Congressional District questions? Okay. Teresa Ryan. Where's Teresa? Hi, Teresa. How are you? Oh, you're from Clinton. Welcome. I was just over there. Yeah. Were you at the Henry County meeting we were at on the fly ash issue from Everett?
No, but I did watch it online.
Yeah. So they're doing some more testing. I know we're not meeting about that, but we'll be updating that as time goes on. They've got an interesting issue out there. Teresa says, are you with something chaos being created by...
Are you okay with
okay. Are you okay with the chaos being created by the Department of Government Efficiency? Anytime that you have cuts, anytime that you are looking for savings in something, anytime that you're cutting back, there's going to be chaos involved. Now, President Trump, when he was elected the first time, I don't think he really even thought he was going to be elected. I think everyone pretty much thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win that. He ended up winning. He did not have the people nor the plan in place to effectively govern the nation from day one.
And still doesn't.
And so now he has had 4 years to formulate this plan, and he is carrying out this precise plan. And it is swift. It's swift, and there are going to be cuts. And those cuts and the swiftness combined are going to create some chaos. But not all chaos is bad. And so, yes, I am okay with chaos or whatever you call it, that we right-size our government. Imagine, if you will, that you're on a ship and we are headed towards a reef. Trying to steer clear of that reef, there might be some chaos trying to steer the direction of the ship a little different direction. Our nation is headed towards a reef. And if we don't do something now to avoid that reef, we are going to sink this ship. And I'm so glad that we have Donald J. Trump back behind that resolute desk, who can finally be a resolute leader that we need to be an effective leader, not just for our nation, but to restore our prestige and our reputation on the world stage. Let's go to our next question. Karen, a got 30 minutes. Karen,
Office anymore.
where's she from?
We can remove you from office,
Good.
Mark.
I don't know if.
Your mom and your constituents are.
Thank you very much. All right. Angie I. Angie I. Where's Angie I? Angie, where are you from?
I am from just the edge of Grandview. So I'm just
So you're in the 5th Congressional District.
actually it kind of congress more out here than I do in
But you're in Jackson County, right?
I do barely live in Jackson County.
So Emmanuel Cleaver is your representative.
What's that?
Okay.
Are we not allowed to talk to you?
Angie says, are you going to do everything you can to make sure people who took deferred resignations are paid?
They can't, it's illegal.
I can hear you. The whole world can hear you, Angie. I can hear you even without a microphone. She says, are you going to do everything you can to make sure people who took deferred resignations are paid? I think you're talking about the program that President Trump initiated to where you can work, you can pretty much quit your job and you get paid up until what, September?
No, you can't, it's illegal.
So, I'm fully in favor of living up to that commitment. I think some 40 or 50,000 people have taken that deal so far. I think there's some people who regretted they couldn't take that deal. But I think in the long term, we're going to be able to provide the jobs necessary. I was just out in Columbia. This past week. And you know, have you been to Columbia lately? It's a beautiful town. MU's there. They are looking for 3,000 people right now to fill jobs. Good paying jobs. We're increasing our infrastructure. That's one of the things I'm going to be doing on the Appropriations Committee, trying to build the infrastructure in Missouri. And I told Mike Kehoe, our great governor, I want to help you turn the Show Me State into the Grow Me State. And so there are jobs available. There are 150,000 to 175,000 jobs in Missouri. And so people have to take these deferred retirements who are leaving, who are getting paid for 8 months. There are jobs out there that you can look. It's hit my family. As I told you, the layoffs have hit a lot of families, and it happens in business. Did you know that when I worked at Fox 4 for 23 and a half years, we went through 4 different owners, and every time we got a new ownership group, there were layoffs. There were layoffs because of duplication of work, automation, advances. So it happens in businesses when new management takes over. And government is not immune. Government is not immune to layoffs. And just because you have a government job doesn't mean it's a lifetime appointment like the Supreme Court. So I would encourage anyone who finds themselves in this situation to realize that we are going to get this economy churning again. There are jobs available. God has a plan and purpose for your life. And you are not a victim, you are a victor. And you will be able to get another job and provide for yourself and your family. I'm confident of that. Thank you very much. All right. Let's have 30 seconds of yelling while I drink a cup of coffee.
You think this is funny, Mark?
5 U.S.C. 6329 states no employee can be on administrative leave longer than 10 calendar days in a year. CRP is illegal, and you are hurting our veterans.
All right, here we go. Eric from Chilhowee, how are you? Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. I couldn't think of a better way to spend the money.
You're watching people. You think this is a joke?
What is your position on RTW that people of Missouri rejected? What's RTW? Oh, right to work. I know what right to work is. I don't ever use, we use so many, we use so many abbreviations out in D.C. Like, I didn't even know what the Indo-PACOM was when I first got up there, and I know now. So anyway, right to work. Look, I believe in a right to work state. I think some unions still have a very good presence and good representation, and they do some good. But I also believe that you should have a right to work in the state. And so I believe in right to work. I believe in that at Fox 4. When I helped organize a decertification of our union there in 1999. And, but I will tell you though, that if you're a member of the union, I don't have any grudges for you. If you want to be a member of the union, then have at it. And if you want to pay into the dues, then have at it. But those dues should not go to promote political candidates or parties. And so I think what you're seeing, and what I'm proud of in America, I think what you're seeing is a lot of union people are coming over to the conservative Republican side. There are a lot of union leaders. They believe in family. They believe in God. They believe in the Second Amendment. And so I think what you're seeing is a great shift. You've seen it with union presidents who were actually at the Milwaukee Convention giving speeches for President Trump. And so I think what you're seeing is a shift. People know that the Republican Party now has the vote of many union people and common sense values. So thank you. All right, we got about 25 minutes. Stephanie Davison from Raymore.
That you think are just
Stephanie, where's Stephanie? Hi. My products made by American workers now have a 35-to-1 tariff. 35% tariff. This is not sustainable. Can you commit to reviewing these? I'm available to assist. Yes. Would you come by our office and we can talk more in person? I would love to get with you on this. I am going to be meeting with the president later this week, and I'd love to have your story to tell him. So, and I will also pass along a little love from this group to President Trump when I meet with him. But Stephanie, seriously, I do want to get these facts down so that I can talk to the president about this, and so that you are represented. All right, thank you. I love that very serious question. All right, Liz Marie Candelon, how you doing? Are you the student sponsor of this group? I mean, the teacher sponsor? No. Okay. All right. Oh, parent. Okay. On ICE security. As an American citizen, I should have the right to move freely in our nation without being asked about my immigration status just because I'm Hispanic. What is your stand on how ICE has been deployed into local businesses or houses? I agree with you on this. Do you know who Stephen Miller is? He is the assistant. Okay. So Stephen Miller has been very outspoken about this, and he and Tom Holman have been working together to try to right this ship of immigration, illegal immigration. And one of the questions I had for him, because they had put out like a 1-800 number or something to turn people in. And I said, look, I don't know if that's a good idea because you're going to have people trying to rat out their neighbor who's a U.S. citizen. And so I think we have to have a more thoughtful response to that. And we want to make sure that everyone's constitutional rights are protected. And that's just my sense on that. So I agree with you on that. And I thank you for that. I hope we can all agree on that. All right, thank you very much. Let's go to Rebecca. Rebecca Reinhold.
Yes, sir.
Hold on, wait. Are we done?
Yes, sir.
All right, we are now done with the 4th Congressional District questions. We have 22 minutes left, and we have Rebecca Reinhold from Leavenworth, Kansas. Is that you? Okay. She says, veterans are hurting. Why aren't you helping? Okay. So, I am on the Appropriations Subcommittee, which oversees the Veterans Affairs, and we're going to be making sure that we have the appropriate funds for veterans right now. Yes.
We make sure that our veterans are cared for.
Yeah.
From the moment they become a veteran to when they're leaving the ground.
Well, I care very much for veterans, and the recent cuts that were made, I think, to the Veterans commissions, the new administrator,
not the hardworking federal.
the new administration, official that just took over, Doug Collins, made sure that America knew that the cuts that were made to the VA were not in a position that would affect services. So I too believe in veterans and helping veterans. I'm on the VA military construction subcommittee for the appropriations. We're going to make sure that our veterans are supported. We were just at the Missouri Veterans Home, nursing home for veterans, and we were there on Valentine's Day. We sit down and talk to 100 of them. Spend an hour there. So I have the greatest respect for veterans and supplying the needs. If you would like to write that down on a card like everyone else, you're welcome to. Caitlin A. Where is Caitlin? Caitlin. Caitlin says, the total savings, I don't see this in the form of the question. She works for Social Security. Administration is a 50-year staffing IOU. Low, okay. The total savings of...
There is one of me for every 1,600 of you.
Yes.
I can only get to 45 of you in one day.
And people, why are you allowing someone with no security clearance? I didn't see, are you talking about Elon Musk? Elon Musk does have a security clearance. Yes, he does. There are different levels of security clearances, and Elon Musk does have, whether you like it or not, Elon Musk does have a security clearance. And so, that is that. I appreciate your work at the IRS. This is kind of a repeat question. Karen says, why is an unelected person allowed to hire, fire government employees? I'll take one of these. Where's Karen that asked this question? Karen? Thank you, Karen. Karen says, why is an unelected person allowed to hire, fire government employees? I'm going to take these one at a time. The reason is that he was hired. Let me go over and have eye contact with you. Elon Musk was hired by the executive Donald Trump, and he has given him that authority. Just as in past administrations, presidents have given authority to other people to hire and fire. And so that's good. How will you guarantee the Congress budget includes enough money for Medicare? That's a very good question. Medicare, as I said before, Medicare and Social Security takes up about 75% of our budget. And we are going to have to take a look at the waste, abuse, and fraud in there. Medicare Advantage, how many of you are on Medicare Advantage right now? You know? Okay, Medicare Advantage has some issues with it. We've got to figure that out. That all goes through the Ways and Means Committee. Jason Smith, who is the chairman of Ways and Means, he is working on this to make sure that we have the money necessary in the Medicare program. I think Medicaid right now is the issue, is that we have to find the savings through the waste, abuse, and fraud, and to make sure that if you're an able-bodied adult and you're not, you don't have any dependents, then you're not on that system. And how will you protect the IRS farmers' jobs? Those are two, but the IRS and the farmers. I don't know if every job is going to be protected. I think you're seeing layoffs, and I saw some reports that it was 1,000 IRS. I've seen others that's 100. We have a few statistics for you out here. There are 3 million federal workers in America. And of the workers that Biden hired over the last 4 years, 85% of them have been government workers. $271 billion is the federal payroll right now. The average salary for a federal worker is $106,000. So any time that you have a new business or a new owners come in, or in this case a new president, they have every right to make the cuts necessary, especially at a time when our country is really going over the deep end. We have $36.5 trillion worth of debt, and we're gaining $1.5 trillion worth of debt every year. That is unsustainable as a nation. Okay. Oh, here's a good one from Sue Trebue. Trebue. Is that you? All right. Have we talked before? Have you been in here? No? Just a second. I got to take another sip of coffee.
You would be firing in order to save $80 billion, which is the
All right. Here we go. Sue Trebue has some general things about Medicaid and Cash Patel. So Medicaid, we've gone over the Medicaid. Well, you're supposed to write your question down. Did you not tell them?
You didn't answer
Okay.
the question I wrote
What's your...
down.
My question is, will you be in support of not cutting Medicaid? And my question,
I will be... Well, let's answer that one first, then I'll come back to it. Okay, I promise. Her question was, will I support not cutting Medicaid? No, she said Medicaid. So I'm going to go with Medicaid first. We should not make cuts to Medicaid, but we need to find a waste, abuse, and fraud, and have work requirements that if you're an able-bodied adult with no dependents, you shouldn't be on the system. That is not a cut. And yes, there are. We have proof of that. Your other question was about Cash Patel.
I know you're on record of supporting Cash Patel.
Yes.
He's an extremist. Have
Uh-huh.
you seen the meetings that he shared of him cutting off the heads of his so-called political enemies?
No, I haven't.
Do you support?
No, I do support Cash Patel, and here's why. You know, we have a beautiful FBI office up here by the airport, and I hope to tour that in a couple of weeks. I support law enforcement. My dad is a Special Texas Ranger. There are so many good people in the FBI right now, and in the DOJ. But for far too long, under President Obama and President Biden, there has been a two-tier system of justice in America. There has been a weaponization of the judicial system and the FBI. So Cash Patel has been confirmed by the Senate, as afforded by the Constitution, to come in and help right the ship of the FBI. And that's exactly what he's going to do, is going to turn that around and give the people, you know, the people who should have prosecuted Hillary Clinton for bashing her computer equipment that she had top secret material on. And so they're going to come in and they're going to make sure that the FBI is restored to its original integrity. Again, I have nothing but respect for the FBI agents who are every day putting their life on the line for all of us here. Okay. If anyone has any other questions they'd like to write down, are those still questions? Okay, we have more of them. All right. Daniel S. Daniel, where's Daniel? I talked with you on the internet. Well, thank you for coming, and I appreciate your kind note saying that, for thanking me for having us. So, good, thank you. He says, Kansas City has 30,000 government employees. How many of them do you think should be fired without cause? What is reasonable about this harm to our local economy? Look, I think government employees make up the largest sector for hiring in Kansas City. Is that correct? Yeah. And I know that many of these jobs are very important to making our government function. But I also know, like in business, as I explained before, and it's happened at Fox 4, when you have a change of government in this case, but a change of ownership, and you're looking for waste, abuse, and fraud, and you're looking to cut, to trim down the size of government employees are going to be let go. And that's just the reality of it. And I feel bad that people have been laid off. I truly do. I understand that. Some of my good friends at Fox 4 were laid off during some of these times. My wife was laid off in the Federal Reserve. I get it. I understand it. But I do know that we've got to downsize our government, make it more efficient, and more accountable and more transparent. And I think that's what President Trump's trying to do. We have a quick follow-up, but I can't hear you, Daniel. If you can convince all your friends to say it. Okay, so I can hear his question. Thank you.
Hey, so I want to let
You don't have to yell.
Okay. I want to let you know there's a legal and proper way to downsize government.
Guys. We're not, this isn't a junior high cafeteria. Okay?
But number two, I know you know this already, but I'm going to tell you, investments in the IRS lead to more revenue. Directly That's the way. My workers and having me hold them while they cry does not make sense fiscally.
Again, Daniel, I appreciate your leadership there, and you're able to counsel and comfort some of these people who've been let go. I know it is, I know it's a hardship for families. I get that. The Biden administration, under the Inflation Reduction Act, hired 87,000 new IRS agents. And so I think the feeling is, I think if you feel like you need more, then the next go around for president, you can elect a president who will give you more IRS agents. But until then, President Trump is a chief executive. And Billy Long, I don't know if you heard of this. Billy, you know Billy Long? He is the former congressman from Springfield. And he is going to be the administrator, or he's been nominated to be the administrator of the IRS. And possibly the ERS, the External Revenue Service that Trump is going to set up to bring in the tariff money. Anyway, Daniel, I think... I'm not sure if I agree with you on that. I've heard both sides of it. So, do you have any other questions? Becky, are there other questions? All right, well, let me have those and I'll handle them. But Daniel, thank you. I appreciate you being civil and respectful. Thank you so much.
The Central Plains CPAC.
All right, here's some with no names, but I got 10 minutes. So, here we go. If you support no cuts to Medicaid, why did you vote for the 880D cut in the Representatives House proposed budget? Look, there are some things in Medicaid. How you doing? Good to see you. There are some things in Medicaid that need to be reformed. I think prescription drug program. Your what?
Do it through Congress, not email.
Hey guys.
Your job, Mark.
It's your job.
It is your job.
It's my job to listen to her, and I can't hear if you're yelling in the back. And I can't make sense of what you're saying. So if you'll be quiet, maybe I can hear her. Thank you. Yes.
However, the proposed budget from the House of Representatives cuts $880 billion off Medicaid and SNAP.
Have you seen
I have looked
the?
at
Okay, so we are voting on that tomorrow.
But I don't understand why 100% of the House of Representatives vote in lockstep for those kinds of things. That's very different.
Because we're trying to save our nation.
No.
The $880 billion that we are voting to cut are not cuts, they are savings. We're talking about work requirements. We're talking about stripping the waste, abuse, and fraud out of the system. And keep in mind, when you hear a big number like that from when you hear a big number like that, that's over a 10-year period. That's how the OMB scores it. And so it's $880 million a year. All right. Let's see, we got 6 minutes. What are U.S. benefits to finance Mars landing mission? Whose question is that?
How's your golf game, Mark?
What's your name? Hey, Barbara. That's a very good question. Maybe some people want to get off this planet. Yeah, I don't know. Versus funding for health care for U.S. citizens. Versus funding for health care for U.S. citizens. Again, I'm going to be on the subcommittee I am for that oversees NASA. And so I'm going to be taking a closer look at these programs. I was out at NASA in October and saw the Artemis rocket, and eventually these programs are going to be going to Mars. I don't really understand that issue well enough, and something I need to bone up on why